Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Great Malabite, a Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni.
Good morning.
Emmanuel Efeni. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, thank God it's Friday. Ruben and Tundu,
Yes, you didn't get the memo.
What's happening in Abeokuta? It's like you go to Abeokuta for meeting. This maroon red combo. Well, it's all well and good. Yes. Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Victoria. Tundu MK Abiola.
Good morning.
Sweet and simple.
Yes. Thank you.
Now, let's start the review with this Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story: IU emerges consensus PDP chairmanship candidate. How Mark, Shema, Nazif stepped aside. Nigeria is worse than Somalia under APC, says New Helmsman. Yes. Now, other newspapers are also reporting this story. We'll just take a look at how they're reporting it. Now, the Guardian newspaper, IU's consensus pick as PDP chair stirs debate on zoning. Northern leaders adopt IU presidential ticket not zone remains open, says Fintiri. George kicks as Olafeso Babatope reserve comment. National Convention PDP extends date for sale of forms. Arewa groups commend choice. Others reject IU, insist North Central deserves presidency in 2023. Pandev tells Northerners to wait till 2031 for presidency. Now, the Punch also reporting this story, the Punch newspaper. IU's emergence as chair. North gets PDP's nod to contest 2023 presidency. It was put in black and white that North Central could contest, says Baraje. Baraje, a well-known die-in-the-wool supporter of Bukola Saraki, former Senate president. North can't produce president, chairman at the same time, says Bode George. Now, there were a lot of horse trading after that 3 hours meeting hosted by the Bauchi State Governor in the Bauchi State Lodge. And the politicians of the PDP hue from the north were able to come up with a consensus candidate for the position zoned to the northern part of the country. Whether you want to take out the middle belt or call them North Central, where for the purpose of zoning north and south, they are all north. But everybody have their own stake and identity, as it were. But what this portends, and that is what perhaps the northern politicians are celebrating, means the chairmanship, the presidential candidate is not zoned to the south as such. Some are making that deduction. Is that really the case? But we know that the clamor is that power should shift to the south, and hence the southern politicians were also pressing that the chairmanship of the party should go to the north. But in the days ahead, I'm sure more will unfold as to whether northern politicians are free, as some are already alluding, to also stake their claim for the PDP presidential ticket. The Atiku Abubakars of this world, the Bukola Saraki of this world, they are all waiting in the wings to also stake their claim once the whistle is blown. How the southern governors and the southern politicians will take this is another matter altogether. Ruben, I know you want to say something, and Tundu, on this emerging scenario.
Well, you know, I already commented on it at length. You know that under the PDP constitution, I think Section 7 thereof, and subsequently it's in Section 15 also, if the chairman of the party comes from a particular part of the country, it is assumed that the president, presidential candidate cannot come from the same zone as the chairman of the party, which is the pattern that the PDP has been following. So now although Dr. Yoshi Ayu is presented as a Northern Consensus candidate, but you see, we've had guests on this program who have said the North is not monolithic. And there are persons from the Middle Belt Forum and other groups within the Middle Belt who have said, yes, they call us North Central when it is convenient, but this is Middle Belt. Okay?
But for the purpose of the PDP zoning arrangement, there is North, there is South.
No, there's further disaggregation in terms of which part of the North and which part of the South you are coming from.
Those are matter of details.
No, yeah. But, you know, as I said earlier on, in the past, we've had chairmen from the Middle Belt zone, from which the present chairman comes from. And on those occasions, the presidential candidate will come either from the North or from the South. And I listed earlier on the names of those persons.
Yes.
You know, including Gemade, including founding father of the party, Solomon La, you know, Baraje from Kwara State, and, you know, a host of others. Yes, Audogbe, and then Chief Barnabas Gemade. So I don't expect, you know, that the presidential candidate of the PDP will come from that Middle Belt zone. So technically, they've been zoned out. So which leaves the game open for either somebody from the North or from the South.
From the far North.
Yeah, well, I don't know what part of the North
Northwest,
they will decide on.
Northeast,
but the
excluding North Central.
The position of the South,
yes,
you know, is that the presidency must come from the
South.
Should come.
You know they are quarreling with that word must.
Yes.
should come from the
because
from the South.
I remember what Nasir Rufai said about making it obligatory that the presidency should be zoned to the South. I bet it will be interesting to see how the game will be played out. But what is important in all of this is that parties must pay very close attention to their own internal processes. Internal democracy is important. Otherwise, it could have implications for the solidarity within the party, for the unity of the party. And the PDP, which had made a mistake in the past, you know, along those lines, particularly at the subnational levels, you know, should realize that it has to ensure internal democracy. And the fact that this is a consensus candidate, you mentioned one or two persons who had raised an objection. I think that will pass.
Okay, I just read this portion for you, according to The Guardian. Sources close to the meeting disclosed that Ayu emerged based on the agreement and understanding that his emergence will not preclude anybody from any zone from contesting the presidency. The source further hinted that it was agreed that if the emergence of a presidential candidate tilts the scale in favor of any zone, the chairman will resign and work for the presidential candidate.
Well, you have about a minute left, Mr. Penny, so do you want to whiz through?
So who is that source? We'll see. From the meeting, what we're dealing with is real politics.
Yes. Now, let me just look at this story. The Daily Sun newspaper, Apapa Oshodi gridlock, federal government orders contractors to terminate rail at ports. Yesterday, there was a story in the back page of Business Day, if you just put Business Day quickly there, that the Apapa is now gradually having semblance of sanity. And guess what? I took a ride to Apapa. In 35 minutes from my office, I was at this day. Through. So, perhaps the measures put in place by MPA, Governor Sanwo-Olu, is working. But they also concluded in that story that the final solution will happen when the rail is taken to the ports to move containers. And here it is that there is an instruction from the president, according to the Minister of State for Finance, that the rail contractors should terminate the new standard gauge rail at the port. So something right is happening in Apapa.
Good.
Yes.
Well, I hope this has no connection with the fact that the House of Reps, the Committee on Transportation, has summoned certain persons involved with, the e-collop system at that Apapa port. And so we hope this is not window dressing.
Let's hope they will maintain it and it will subsist. Yes.
Well, on that note,
thank you very much,
Mr. Penny.
Emmanuel.
Have a great weekend.